Guy Trinetti, welcome to Blood Time.
Thanks for having me.
I'm
looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm very glad that you're here, my man. It's been a while. I've seen you and love you, bro.
It's been. I was telling you on the way here. I was thinking about it, and 40 years ago.
40 years we coached. Together.
I took over at Brush in 1984.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Coached there for 2 or 3 years, and then got laid off.
Yep.
And then that's when Dominic took over.
Yep. Exactly.
And I never got back into coaching after that because my sons were coming up.
Sure.
And I was working with them.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, "Hey, you ought to try officiating." And
I
said, "I don't think that's for me."
Yeah. Well, that was always a tough jump for a former coach.
Yeah, but you know what? It was something that I took to easily. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any
good quick, man.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem, with people yelling and screaming, and my parents used to do that all the time to me. So I was used to that.
Quite Italian family.
Yeah, and we, the crowd and all that stuff I was used to.
Yeah.
So I ended up liking it more than coaching, really.
I understand. Well, you did very well. You ended up at the state tournament a number of times, and
I had
became one of the premier referees in
12 state tournaments.
Okay,
all kinds of. Yeah, I'm a district every year. I officiated except the first.
Okay,
only because I wasn't eligible, but I was good enough.
I understand.
And sectional tournament every year.
Yeah.
From my first year on.
Yeah,
and it was. Until both knees went, we get old.
I resemble that remark on my left knee.
Yeah, I had my one knee done.
Okay,
and I was hobbling around, and it was time to do the next one. And doctor said to me, "Hey, you still going to bounce around on the mat?" I said, "What do you say?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, come on, do it because you'll be back in 5 years. I'll be doing the knee again."
You're going to be a cottage industry to him. Yeah, exactly right.
Just keep me in.
Either that or you do the Sam Salupo. You pin him with your feet.
Yeah, I couldn't even do that because my knee hurt when I did that. But no, I didn't want to be the guy that they were saying, "Hey, that guy should have got out of what's looking at hobbling around."
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
After.
So when did you retire? What year?
2015 was my last year.
Gotcha. Okay. So you refereed for what? Almost 30 years?
30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I had
that's a great career.
Yeah. On the mat, I was 30 years on the mat.
That's fantastic.
I still hold my license. Only because, I'm still involved with tournaments and so on and so forth. And I want to be, I want to be the guy that knows what they're doing. And,
so people can come.
So I go to the meetings, I listen to all the new stuff that's going on and so on and so forth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we need referees. We need officiating.
You talked about having Toby on.
Yep.
And
Toby Dunlop.
Toby Dunlop is the director of.
He's going to be on. He's going to be on next week.
I know. I've talked to him.
Yeah.
And he's the director of development. And now with girls wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Pete, it's going to be
saving our sport.
I'm telling you.
Yep.
It's amazing. I ran the Euclid sectional, boys and girls.
Okay.
And the boys were on Saturday, the girls were on Sunday. Yeah. We had more fans for the girls than we had for the boys. And
when I went to the John Carroll premiere match, it was packed.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to a packed John Carroll dual meet ever.
Right.
Ever.
And,
so,
in the
maybe
girls,
back in the 75 when I graduated high school, I remember watching John Carroll versus Cleveland State. Mm-hmm. That was a big match. Yeah. Like Tony DiGiovanni wrestled Mark Haywald. That was like the premier match.
Right. Yeah. But the girls, when it first started, everybody's going, girls, it's not going to be good.
Right.
But this year at the state tournament, which was just last week,
right,
you can tell how the sport in 2 years has evolved into something much better than it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
And it's only going to get better.
Right.
Now they have youth programs for girls.
Sure.
Now they have junior high programs for girls. And it's going to get better.
Well, you're going to get that hockey stick up. Because really, let's be honest, it's not great wrestling.
Not right now.
Not right now. But it's getting exponentially better.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's much better than it was 2 years ago.
No doubt.
It's still not great, but it's much better than it was 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
And you know it's going to get better. With that said, we don't have enough officials.
I know.
We didn't have enough officials when the girls weren't wrestling.
I know.
For a number of different reasons, and we can go into that. That's another show.
Yeah.
Why people are getting out of officiating?
Yep.
For all the reasons you know.
Yep.
You know, crazy parents, crazy fans.
Sure.
Not enough money. All that stuff. Not enough time.
Right. Right. And plus, some of the people coming up are like they can't take if you look at them the right way.
And that's the other thing. And the other thing is
the rabbit ears.
And this is probably a knock on officials, and I shouldn't say it, but so what? Yeah. Guys that get into officiating now think they belong at the state tournament next year.
Well, that's our society. I mean, come on.
Everybody's entitled.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. And here's what's happening. I was in officiating 12 or 13 years
before you got your
before I sniffed a state tournament.
Of course. Yeah.
And the only reason why I got in the state tournament was because one of the officials before me made a huge mistake at the state tournament. Oh. And the way it was set up then was the coaches voted.
Yeah, it was a ranking.
And you were ranked one in the top 10 officials in our area were, you were the ones that went down to the state tournament. I was 11 for like 6 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't break into that group of officials.
And there were some top quality officials.
Don Ferris,
Denny Palmer, Bernie Rye,
Schoenauer, Bernie Rye, all those guys.
Sandy Cagio,
right? Yeah. All those guys were really good officials. I mean,
Hall of Famers. Most of them.
All of them. Yeah. So, well, what happens is the guy makes a mistake.
Yeah.
And the next year they voted him out, and I snuck in.
Sure.
And then, but now it isn't like that anymore. There's ADs voting, coaches voting, press vote. All these people vote.
Yeah.
And
they don't know what they're talking about.
And they want new people in.
I understand.
They want younger guys to get in.
I get that.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
you
as a coach, who do you want?
I want the best.
Exactly.
Merit.
Exactly.
I'm about merit.
Exactly. Who's the best for my kid? I don't care who he is. I don't care if he's been there 10 years in a row, 15 years in a row.
I want the most competent, fair, consistent coach. I mean, the referee. Absolutely.
And what's happening is, not to say these guys are bad that are there,
right?
But it's not as consistent as it used to be.
Sure. Sure.
And the coaches, I feel, the coaches should be the ones that select those. They're the ones that deal with them all the time.
No doubt.
And they know.
No doubt.
Who's, if I make a mistake, or if I made a mistake and you came to the table and I said, I blew it. I made a mistake.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. It ain't going to happen very often. So, So that's it. But now, it's a whole different ballgame nowadays.
It is.
Like you said, everybody's entitled and, getting back to my original statement, we need more officials.
We need more officials.
And with girls, we need women officials.
Yep.
And I tell women that all the time, and they go, I don't know anything about wrestling.
So what?
Well, so?
One of the best never wrestled, Jim Behrens.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the best, that ever came through Ohio.
Right.
He is a dynamite referee.
Jim's a good official, and he wasn't a wrestler.
Right.
Doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't.
Because, it really helps that you've wrestled before. When you're out there evaluating what's going on, you're thinking, he's going to do this. Oh, no, he didn't do that.
Well, you have that kinesthetic awareness. You also have that ability to predict,
and anticipate.
Absolutely.
And, where to be at the right time or how to get there and so on and so forth.
Yep.
So, with that said, we now have high school kids.
Sure.
We're offering we have schools offering high school credit.
Yeah.
And we have college kids.
Yeah.
And colleges offering credit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they get involved and then they don't progress like they think they should.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you don't see them anymore.
Well, that's the problem with assistant coaches too.
Yeah.
I refereed for 23 years.
Yeah.
From 78 to 2001.
Yeah.
So I would fill in, you know what I mean? But I did the regionals at John Carroll. I never did a district or sectional because I was coaching most of the time. But that said, It's the same thing we're facing with assistant coaches. I'll get an assistant coach for 2 years and he's gone. And you can't blame them because they are young guys that got to make a living. You know what I mean? And they get married, the life change, etc.
You have kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wife don't want them out on the weekends, and Lord knows we're out on the weekends. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other. We talked about this last week at the state tournament.
Yeah.
My wife, God bless her soul.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's done it for 50 years, but she has.
God bless her.
You know, I'd be gone from Friday to Sunday.
Sure.
You know, 10 out of the 15 weeks of the season.
No doubt.
Because I'd be, you know, my schedule each year was basically the same. I did the same tournaments year in and year out. I'd go down to Columbus, I'd go to Toledo, I'd go to Youngstown, I'd go to, you know, in the Cleveland area. You know, my wife go, "Oh, you're home this weekend? That's nice." Where, you know.
Yeah, what are we going to do,
But, you know, it was what we did. Right. You know, that was part of the sport.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and again, it is time consuming, but you can make some money, right? You make a little bit of money.
You know, nowadays,
it's not bad.
Everybody always. I remember Denny Palmer saying to me, "How much did you make for this tournament?"
Yeah,
and it was like, you know, a 2-day tournament. Yeah, and I'd make $225. You know,
right?
And this was 20 years ago.
Sure.
Okay, sure. You go, holy shit! I only used to make $100 to do that tournament.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. You know, they want, you know, especially if you're noted and they want you to be there.
Yep.
You almost called your price. Yep. Nowadays, that same day tournament is $650.
I'm sure.
$600.
I'm sure.
And if they want you bad enough, they'll pay you whatever you want.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely.
Because there aren't enough officials,
right? And
there aren't enough, like the Ironman.
Sure.
You know, that's premier tournament throughout the country. Yeah. Okay. So if you're good enough to work the Ironman,
you're good enough to work anything.
Well, yeah, but you're making some money too.
Sure.
You know, I mean, we got guys coming from Pennsylvania, from West Virginia, to do that tournament.
Sure.
Only because they want to get a, you know, so that they're not homer refs, you know.
Yeah.
But the money nowadays is much better than it was, let's say, 15 years ago.
Sure.
And it's probably going to get better and better.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
But
so what's our answer? I mean, how do we get these?
They've had, and Toby's been involved with this.
Yeah.
All kinds of different promotional kind of things. You know, we'll pay your first year dues. We'll pay your dues to the state. Your dues to your association. Because each wrestling officials association has dues.
Yeah.
The state you have to pay to have your license.
No doubt. Yeah.
All that stuff comes into play, and you have to pay to take the course.
Yep.
You know. Yeah. So you know, we'll waive all that. You know, we'll bring you in. We'll do this. We'll do that. The course used to be a 6-week course. Now it's done on a Saturday.
Gotcha.
You know. They make it a 1-day thing.
That's what's happening too with coaching. You're getting it all done.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be 3, 4, 5 tests and all that kind of stuff. You know,
and plus you have to pass the test and you know, all that stuff. But
so there's incentives, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're enough.
I got you.
You know, I mean, it's just it's hard to sell. It's a hard sell.
I got you.
Let's put it that way. Plus, you're working with a selected group of people.
No doubt.
You know, I don't know anything about wrestling. I'm a basketball guy. I don't know wrestling. I never saw a wrestling match. You know, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
But yet, if you have, that's why we're zeroing in on kids that are wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, and starting to promote it while they're wrestling. You know, if you don't go to college and wrestle, you can always make some money.
Yeah.
You know, you can always
this
be an
sport
official.
Can actually pay you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can always, you know, you can make some money while you're going to school, some extra beer money or whatever. You know?
Yeah, exactly right.
You know, or whatever you want to do, we can make it happen. And some kids do, and some kids just fall off because it's not, you know.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit more on the second segment, but I also want to talk about some of the rivalries that you and I had back in the day.
We can do that.
I'll be right back with Guy Trinetti at Blood Times, Coach Cimoroni. Infinite Search Solutions, recruitment and placement search services at its finest. Northeast Ohio's premier, easy, fast, and simple way to find the great and perfect candidate that you deserve. Matt Burns and his incredible team at Infinite Search Solutions are terrific. We are proud to have them as a sponsor. Reach out to Matt at 440-249-0485 or at their website, www.in-finite.com.
Hello, this is Frank Favaro, president and founder of Serve Centric Coaching, and I'm super excited to be sponsoring the Undeniable podcast. When we talk about business today, everyone's looking to create an advantage. But how do you find it? Everything is copied with technology. Innovation is hard to come by. We can find it with customer experience. The experience that you provide to your customers and to your employees determines the value you bring to the marketplace. We will create a plan for you that will get your business to the next level. You can find us at www.serve-centric.com. That's Serve Centric. Serve, SERVE -centric, CENTRIC.com. And you can reach me personally at 330-715-5361. Thank you.
And we're back with Guy Trinetti, Blood Time. Coach Cimoroni here. How you doing, babe?
Okay, enough officiating. Now let's talk stories or what?
I do want to talk stories, but the bow on that is it's just a hard road.
Yes.
So there's no easy answer.
No.
Just like wrestling, there's no easy answer, right?
Yeah, you're going to do it. You're going to work to do it.
But you know what? As a sport, we're going to figure it out.
I think so. Again, as the girls evolve, I think we're going to get more and more ladies involved in over the years, we've had 4 or 5 women officials.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 2 of them worked their first sectional tournament with me.
Sure.
And, I was the head official at a section. One was at Beechwood.
Okay.
And I remember them assigning her to me, and I said, "Oh man, I got enough headaches,
Right.
But she did a decent job.
Okay.
And she was really involved in the sport.
Yeah.
She had brothers that wrestled, and
she
didn't wrestle, but her brothers did, and she watched wrestling, and she was a scorekeeper and all that other stuff. She was a mat maid and all that other stuff.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I had Terry on. This is why I'm having you on. Well, besides also some of the stories. Right. And this is why I'm going to have Toby on. I want to promote, because that's what Blood Time's about too, besides the transformative moment between the athlete and the coach and what they do with that. But it's about supporting the sport. And so we're going to keep after this. We're going to help.
I'm sure that Toby will come on super prepared. He's going to tell you, what the programs are that they do to try to promote, new officials and how we do it and so on and so forth. So, he'll be more than thorough when it comes to, how he is. He's
the boss. He's the boss. He's
I room with him all the time.
Yeah.
And,
well, you definitely have different personalities.
Oh,
like night and day.
He's so friggin' anal, That's right. I go into the bathroom and
the shit's lined up,
deodorant's there, the toothbrush is there, a glass is here, his razor's here, and whatever, his bag's here. And I'll move this to there purposely.
Yeah.
He'll come in and he'll go, "Hey, what did you do with mine? Why did you move?" I go, I was
got to torture him a little bit.
Oh yeah, I go always for sure.
Well, I want to go down a little different path.
Okay.
You and I crossed paths back in the rivalry days of Richmond Heights, Beechwood.
Yes, we did.
And you were right in the mix when Richmond Heights was in their glory.
Started coaching there.
Yeah.
In 78. I was an assistant coach with Buddy Young at Brush. For 3 years.
God rest his soul. Beautiful guy.
And Buddy left Brush and went to Cardinal.
Okay.
And I applied for the job.
Gotcha.
And after 2 interviews, they decided, they being the powers to be, decide, not mentioning any names, decided that I was too young to be a head coach in the GCC.
Okay.
Not enough experience.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that.
Right.
But after they reassigned Jimmy Smith, who was the coach
before
5 years prior to that, to Buddy Young, they brought Jim Smith back thinking that he had the experience.
Right.
And I guess Jim and we weren't. We were friends. It wasn't something that he did because he thought he just thought it would be best that I went back to the junior high and coached to help the program.
Sure.
Well, that was all good for him in the program, but it wasn't good for me.
Right.
I was looking to move forward, not backwards, and then back to forward.
Sure.
So that's when I was approached by Mike Paporis.
Awesome.
Who was a friend of mine also.
Sure.
And he said,
Hall of Famer, man.
Oh, yeah. Hall of Famer. He said to me, if you're not happy there, you always have a job with me. So you come on over to Richmond Heights.
Beautiful.
So that's what I did. I went over in 78.
They were state champs in 79.
Yep.
In 80?
80.
81 or 82?
Second. We were second in 81.
81, then in 82 or 83?
83. Because I was gone. That was my first year at Brush.
Gotcha. So you were on 2 state championship teams.
Yeah, and a runner-up.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. And I mean, when the job opened at Brush in 83, I believe.
Yeah.
No, in 82.
Yeah.
That's right. I went there in 82. Anyway, when the job opened at Brush, I didn't apply.
Yeah.
I was getting more notoriety.
Of course.
I had 2 or 3 interviews at schools that called me and said, hey, we have an opening. Why don't you come and apply?
Yeah.
And I did. Matter of fact, funny story. I went out to Ashtabula Edgewood.
Sure.
My wife goes, where the hell is Ashtabula Edgewood? She goes, that's way away.
For you listening in Germany, that's in Ohio.
Yeah, it's in Ohio, but it's close to Pennsylvania.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed.
So it was 65 miles from my house.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, I'll just drive there. I'll go there every day.
Yeah.
And no, it ain't gonna work that way. Not on 90 in the snow.
No, exactly.
So anyway, I go there and I'm all prepared. I got a notebook. I got what you're supposed to do when you go for a head job.
Sure. Yeah.
I sit down, superintendent, athletic director, and personnel director.
Right.
And I sit down and I said, well, here's what I have. And just put that away. We don't need to hear any of that.
Right.
You've come highly recommended by more than one person.
Right.
One being Mike Paporis, who's a god in the sport.
No doubt.
2 other coaches in the area have vouched for you. We're ready to offer you the position. You don't even have to talk about that. We know that you'll do a good job.
Right.
Because we have a real estate agent right on our board. She'll get you a house and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
I said, wow, I didn't think this was going to happen so soon. I thought I was going to have to sell myself.
There's a red carpet, baby.
You've already sold yourself. So I come home and I go, well, hon, looks like we're moving to Ashtabula.
Oh my God.
She goes, what are you, nuts?
That's fantastic.
We had Guy by then, and she was pregnant with Dominic.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God. She goes, are you out of your mind? She goes, I ain't moving to Ashtabula.
That's right.
I said, well, it's too far to drive. I said, I just drove it. It was like an hour and 15 minutes,
Yeah.
She goes, well, if you're coaching there, you're driving there.
Exactly.
Because we're staying right here.
Exactly.
So that put the kibosh on that.
Yeah.
And so now the job opens at Brush the next year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't apply.
Yeah.
And the deadline was like on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday morning, I get a Mr. Trinetti come to the office.
Yeah.
Because I'm teaching at Brush now.
Yeah.
I'm coaching at Richmond Heights.
Yeah.
Athletic director, personnel director, principal. The deadline was yesterday.
Right.
You didn't apply.
Right.
No, I'm very happy where I'm at right now.
Right.
Well, you might be happy that you're there, but we're not too happy about it.
Okay.
Yeah. We think you're ready.
Okay.
Now
okay.
It's 4 years later.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm the best coach in the world.
Exactly right. Yeah.
But anyway, long story short,
that's fantastic.
They reminded me that I was a teacher first.
Exactly.
And a coach second. And it'd be to your advantage to take this job, or you might be looking for another teaching job. So I took the brush job.
Yeah.
And Pete Cimoroni.
Yeah.
And Victor Ventresca and Frank Regabuto were my assistant, my first staff.
You had a pretty good staff.
I did. We had a good time.
We did. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
We have some stories we could tell about that.
But not on there.
No, I don't want to talk about it. But we had a good time.
Maybe a different show.
And I'll tell you what, it was the start of a pretty good build.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, like I said, in 84, 85, I was riffed.
Yeah.
And they said you could still keep the coaching job. I said, what am I going to do that for?
Right.
If you're not in the building, what's going to happen? I said, I can't do that.
Sure.
Dominic was out of, he was looking for something, and he fell right in, and he was pretty successful.
Yeah.
I
coached with him for 2 years.
Right.
And then I took the job at Beechwood after that.
Right. So that's where it all started. And then,
well, let's talk about the Richmond Heights rivalry with Beechwood.
Right.
You coached. I was the assistant coach in '79. You were the assistant coach for the Richmond Heights Spartans.
Right.
And we met at that dual meet, famous dual meet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now Richmond Heights had always beat Beechwood.
Right.
Okay. Matter of fact, I was the first head coach to ever beat Richmond Heights.
Really?
Yeah. I beat Keith Manos in 1991.
Okay.
We beat him.
Took you a while, though.
We did. Took me 3 years to beat him. I was the head coach in 87, 88, but we were terrible. Anyhow, at that point, in 79, that place was jammed.
Packed. Jam-packed.
Jam-packed.
As a matter of fact, I think they had TVs elsewhere.
Absolutely.
In the cafeteria or somewhere else where people could watch.
Yep.
Actually on TV.
Yep. Yeah. And that was the closest we ever came to beating you. We had a team.
Yeah, you had a good team.
We took fourth in the state that year, D2, and I think you guys are state champs, D1.
D1.
That doesn't happen much.
D3.
D3, I'm saying D3. Well, now it's single A. Well, whatever. No, it's D3 now. Yeah, it's D3 now. It was single A. It was single A back then.
Single A, double A, triple A.
Yeah, we were double A.
Yeah.
And I remember that there was a match with, I think, Al Sherrill.
And
Tommy Weiss.
Just saw him at the district tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tommy Weiss.
Yep.
And I think Tommy got hosed on that by a referee's call. I'm not sure.
I can't
remember this.
I don't remember anything a referee.
It's a long time. I got you. Right, exactly right. And the Weiss brothers were there, and they came out of the stands. And I think all three, the father and his two brothers, Gene Weiss was there. Lenny Weiss.
They needed to watch because we had brothers also.
I know you did.
We had a lot of brothers.
Families. My God. Richards, Laushans, Podekars, Susicks, Atkins. Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. And Hansons.
Hansons,
the greatest of all the brothers, right? With the Hansons.
Yeah, well, we had some brothers.
Yeah, you had 9 championships and state championships in those three. But think about that, right? I think they got tossed out. I think they got, but it was frenetic. You don't see that anymore. I mean, maybe you see that at like at St. Ignatius.
Packed gyms like that?
Yeah, like St. Ed's versus Blair Academy or something like that.
When I was officiating, Toby and I used to do a lot of the big matches at Ed's.
Sure.
And those were the closest
to the old days.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, they'd have Blair in, like you said. Yeah. They'd have Detroit Central Catholic in.
DCC. Yeah.
They'd have
Wyoming Valley or something like that.
Yeah. All the premier teams.
The teams out of Minnesota.
From Ohio, and then they'd bring them in from Michigan and Minnesota and every place.
Well, I remember my senior year going to the Mentor Maple match at Maple.
Okay.
And I don't know how, but I got a front row seat. I came in late. I had a front row seat. And I said, this is what I love the sport. Mm-hmm. It was jammed packed. It was crazy. It was in that field house, that weird kind of.
They had the gym with the dome.
Yeah, the gym with the dome.
That was brand new back then.
Yeah, but it was weird. It was a weird kind of a facility. It was odd. At
the time it was odd.
But it was hot too.
Yeah.
It was like it was crazy. And it's just amazing when you think about how great dual meets were. You know what I mean? And even back then, scrimmages were like that. So I remember wrestling, like I had Nick Fred Antonio in. Do you remember Nick Fred Antonio?
I remember the name.
From Chanel.
Yeah.
He's a doctor now. He's a dentist now, and he's come up with this unbelievable thing to track people that are kidnapped through a tooth implant. And it's a GPS tracking.
Really?
Yes. So he's come up with that. And I had him in here talking about that. I love the guy. Nicky and I have known each other since we were 12. But anyhow, he was, we were talking about how, the Chanel, he was on Chanel's team. He was the beginning of Chanel, just before.
Graham Coggle.
No, he was on with Kerry Volkman.
Oh, Kerry Volkman.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
But how Chanel would pack him, you know what I mean? But also when I wrestled against him, he wrestled for Chanel. He was 138, I was 132. We wrestled against each other in a match at the scrimmage. They don't do that anymore. It's all, hey, go pick up guys. It's like a practice, in scrimmage today. So there's no, I don't know. It just, you lose some of the, I think the rivalries, you lose some of the mystery of the sport by doing dual meets, by not having dual meets, and people can't follow it. Like I was talking to my chief marketing officer for my company, and his son wrestled for Wadsworth. Kid made 6th in the state this year. Never wrestled before. Took 6th in the state as a 7th grade first start for junior high school. Right? He says, Pete, I hated it. I sat in the gym for 8 fucking hours. I wanted to pull my hair out.
Right.
And that's what we're doing to our sport.
Well,
that's why we've done it to our sport.
My 2 grandsons started wrestling.
Yeah.
Now they're basketball players. One's 6'3", the other's.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Anyway, they're basketball players.
Yeah.
I'll never forget going to their first competition when they were in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
It was at Our Lady of Lake Parish, which used to be Holy Cross.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm driving down Lakeshore Boulevard and told my wife, I said, what the hell are we doing?
Well,
we're going to a basketball game. There's no Trinetti that ever went to a basketball game. So we go in the gym and, I'm watching my grandson, 7th grader. He plays.
Yeah.
And the game started at 12 o'clock. Now, all right, game's over. Yeah. We're on Lakeshore Boulevard going home. Yeah. I look at the clock and it's 10 minutes to 1.
Fantastic.
I told my wife, I said, you know what? This ain't too bad.
I like this sport.
I go, if this was wrestling, we'd be in the gym till tomorrow. I go, we're done. We're done with the day. We don't have to stay here all night.
Exactly. Yeah.
This isn't bad.
But that's what dual meets did.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
And I was interviewing Wade Chalice. He was saying point scored is a point earned. So now your dual meets are 100 to 95.
Right.
And everybody's still in the match. Even the kid that's getting beat 11-1. If he gets an escape and a takedown,
it helps the
team. He may win the dual meet for him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of ways we got to really
scheduling. That's the other thing.
Oh my God.
They promote wrestling tournaments.
Exactly.
Well, and that started with God rest his soul,
Ferguson.
Yeah. And that became the big thing. That's when we got away from dual meets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That changed the sport.
He changed the whole sport.
Yeah. No doubt.
But we could change that back. Yeah. If we'd say, okay, you have 20 points.
Yep.
10 of them has to be dual meets.
Yep.
Or 8 of them have to be dual meets. Right. Whatever the number. But you should have at least 5 meets.
Yep.
At your home school, in your home gym, against somebody that.
When I took over at Chagrin Falls, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Okay, because the kids loved it. The kids got involved.
Right.
The student body got involved. And then we had a good wrestler in that Sam Partain. I love Sammy. He took 8th in the state for us, first place winner in the history, in 20 years or whatever. Anyhow, that's what created that type of community, family bond,
And now you have students come and watch their buddies.
Yes.
They don't want to go and sit in the gym for 8-10 hours.
They won't.
They're not going. They're not doing it anymore.
They won't do it.
We're not like that anymore.
That's why you get nobody to coming to these tournaments.
All you get at tournaments is parents that get soaked because they get charged them, $15 a head to get in and leave and then come back and charge another $15 to come in the next day. It's nuts.
So what I'm going to say, Guy, is more dual meets. I'm going to put it up to you for the last thing because we got to wrap this up. I love talking to you. I know. Can you imagine? Like that, right?
Exactly,
like that, like 40 years, right? Here we sit 40 years later.
Yep.
Leave the audience with one word to get people back into our sport, officiating, and back into our sport doing dual meets.
Wow. See, why you put me on the spot like
Because
this?
I know you're bright, man.
One word.
Not a word, but a sentence, anything. Just how do we get these people back doing our thing?
Promote the sport.
Yep.
And help promote the sport by going back to some of the old traditions.
I like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Just
what worked? Why fix it? It was working.
It was working well.
I mean, it was working fantastic.
But coaches are coaches.
I know.
And they're going to do anything they can to make sure they get an edge one way or the other.
I know.
And wrestling dual meets is not if Pennsylvania ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Ohio coaches aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
If Pennsylvania coaches are doing it and Iowa coaches are doing it, we might think about doing it.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
But we're not going to go back to dual meets if everybody else has an edge.
I'm telling you, this Wade Shell's idea, point scored as a point earned.
I like that.
It's
I like
going to
that
get
also.
it would reinvigorate dual meets, and particularly at the college level.
Yeah.
Because who wants to watch a 21-19 dual meet?
That's all they are.
Right. If I'm watching an 80-78 dual meet or whatever,
the
I'm
more
like,
points scored, the better it is. It's like football.
Exactly.
Who wants to watch a 3-0 game?
Exactly.
You want to watch a 33-30 game.
That's why I can't stand soccer. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%.
Although I love hockey because my nephew just played in the state finals.
I saw that from university school.
Yeah, absolutely. My boy, yeah.
But,
well, Guy, thank you, bro.
Hey, anytime, you know that.
I know.
We didn't even get into any good stories.
I know, but well, we'll have you back.
We'll do it again.
Down the road.
We'll do it again.
We'll do all stories. We'll do all stories.
It'll be story time.
I love it.
Nothing. No, we're not going to change the sport. We want to go back to locker room talk and Friday night and Saturday night.
Exactly.
Talk.
Exactly.
Yeah, wait, real quick. That's another thing that I didn't mention that was good about officiating.
What's that?
It's not all about just being on the mat.
Right.
It's about other things that happen and the camaraderie and
that's what Terry said.
Yeah. It's about the fun times you have after the matches.
Exactly right. The dinners and the vino and all that.
Yeah.
And also too, good luck with Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie.
Your grandson, who's the starting quarterback for Lake Catholic. This year's he's going into his senior year, right?
This is going into his senior year. And like I said, he had very successful past 2 years. And hopefully, God willing, no injuries. And if he doesn't get injured, I think you're going to see big things.
Well, love to you. Love to Guy, your son, Guy Jr., and your grandson, Frankie.
Thanks for having me.
This is Guy Trinetti, the beautiful Guy Trinetti. This is Coach Cimoroni for Blood Time. We are all blood. Love to all. I just love the mission at Edwin's. My friend Brandon Krastowski at Edwin's Leadership and Restaurant Institute brings a unique approach at giving formerly incarcerated adults a foundation in the hospitality industry. What a marvelous mission. Thank you, Brandon, for bringing these wonderful people back into productive society. Every human being, regardless of their past, has the right to a fair and equal future. Give them a try because their food is magnificent. Their service is first rate, and Brandon is a true Cleveland light. EdwinsRestaurant.org. We love you. We want to thank my good friend Kevin Goodman, the managing partner at Blue Bridge Networks, as our newest partner and sponsor. Please reach out to them for all of your managed IT services needs, cloud computing needs, data center services requirements, and all infrastructure solutions services. Kevin Goodman and Blue Bridge Networks. Seek them out at 1-866-990-2583. That's 1-866-990-2583 and at info@bbnllc.com.